Don't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
8:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
Veterans Memorial southbound traffic is jammed from 143rd and Archer to 159th for all traffic still forced off the tollway due to a major crash. Northbound, seeing delays from Boughton to the Reagan Tollway. The Reagan Tollway is messy this morning with delays eastbound from 31 Veterans Memorial. The Edens is running 29 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 40. Inbound Kennedy, 48 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 34 from Montrose, 31 on the Express. Eisenhower an hour, 390 to downtown, 47 minutes from Wolf. Stevenson an hour, 355 to the drive. Ryan, 30 minutes from 95th. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 33 minutes from I-80 to the merge. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, it's Heavy Foster to North Avenue. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies, breezy day, high today 36. It'll be cloudy tonight, low 26. Cloudy tomorrow, the high 34. Some snow and flurries on Thursday, could see 1 to 2 inches, the high Thursday 31. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
34 O'Hare, 33 Lakefront. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM.
Run through all of the reasons that I talked to Dr. Leonard Sachs on my evening show about this as well, author of Boys Adrift and a bunch of other best-selling books about young people. About the trend, it's not a spike, and Dr. Sachs was quick to point this out. Don't call it a spike, because a spike means it bubbled up and then went down. What we see over the last couple of decades is a trend, increasing trend of youth suicide, and obviously it's very troubling. And so you go through all of the reasons. Do we see an increase in alcohol and drug use? Not really. So you say, well, it's the addiction, it's the opioid use. Well, we don't see a corresponding increase.
What about the insurgence of social media and all that?
That's an aspect, but it's hard to quantify. And so you're trying to go through all of the things you would think would lead young people to a place of despondency, so significant that they would harm themselves. And the answers aren't easy. And so I was moved by this report by ABC7 here in Chicago the other week about Gabriel Deely. This is a young man who was 12 years old. He was going to St. Clement's School, Lincoln Park.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the school.
He's 12 years old, and he committed suicide. And in dealing with that unimaginable grief, his parents started a nonprofit called Gabriels Light, advocating for a number of things to do in furtherance of suicide prevention, particularly in schools and particularly with young people in those schools. And we wanted to have, since Carol was willing to talk about it with ABC7, we thought we'd get her on the show and give her a platform to talk about this a little bit more with us. We're pleased to be joined by Carol Deely, mom of Gabriel and founder of Gabriels Light. Carol, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So with respect to the particular circumstances surrounding your son's death and prompting you to found this nonprofit that's in the business of suicide prevention, give us your handle, the angle of incidence you, your family, your organization is taking to try and deal with suicide prevention.
Thank you. So when we are a very involved family, very close, loving, faith-filled family, And we could not have been more shocked and devastated by this action that our son took, dying by suicide. And it took some time for us to come out of the fog of that and the shock. But when we did, and when we started searching for answers about why, we just felt that we needed to share it with other parents and other families and schools so that they could learn from what we learned and hopefully make a difference in someone else's life. And our mission of Gabriels Light is threefold based on the things that we found. We found that he had searched suicide and bullying on his device at school. We found that he had verbalized and had written warning signs of suicide to his peers at school, and they didn't know how to handle it, so it wasn't reported. And we found signs that he felt hopeless. We felt that he had felt that he had been bullied or diminished. He felt he was alone. So all three of these pillars helped us form what we are calling Gabriels Light to work with schools and families to share that.
Now, police searched his personal laptop and iPhone. Did they find any indications that he was contemplating suicide?
So they searched his devices, as you said, and there was nothing found on the devices. So our reaction was to ask the school for their device. Mm-hmm. And initially, they said that they would give us the device to have professionals take a look at it. But we never received the device, but we did receive a search report of the last 2 weeks that he was in school, and that was on the search.
And one of the things that Gabriels Light advocates for, I understand from the reporting on this, is home and school device monitoring, so that parents, school authorities, friends can pick up on the sort of posting, the messaging that you're describing your son was doing.
That's correct. Since 2015, there have been keyword alert monitoring software and apps on the market, and manual monitoring is ineffective. So I was doing manual monitoring, and I thought, well, I could keep on top of things. I used some other apps as well, but I never knew about keyword search alerts. And most schools have firewalls to try to keep information or dangerous information from children in schools. Mm-hmm. I mean, most schools do that. It's mandated. But kids know how to circumvent the firewalls. They see it as a challenge. And parents know that. I mean, kids know that. That's why they do it at school. I mean, at my house, I had pretty strict controls on the devices. But what people don't know about are these keyword search alerts, so that you can establish things that you want to receive alerts on, and based on their age, you can choose how many alerts you want to receive and how much information you want to get. But it allows you to really have an idea of kind of what's going on in their online life, which many parents really don't know about. You know, kids have their own online life just like adults do, and it can be very different from what you see in person.
And you want to give them a sense of privacy, but then at the same time, you want to make sure that they're safe. What about these letters, though, that you said were written? Has the Archdiocese of Chicago, which runs St. Clement, allowed you and your organization to come in to talk to students about how to respond if, one of their friends is writing a letter that talks about suicide?
Mm-hmm. So we're currently working on getting into schools and with a message about what to do if someone talks about suicide. And 76% of youth share their suicidal thoughts or plans verbally or in writing, and with their peers. So the training element is that peers, students, need to know that you don't keep a secret. You share that with an adult immediately, and you listen. You listen and keep someone safe until you have someone else involved. That you never dismiss it as someone trying to get attention or someone goofing around. My son made those warning signs, and the students dismissed it. They didn't know. We don't blame them.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Can you describe in general the sort of what was feeding his sense of loneliness and isolation? What kind of what he was being subject to by other students or whoever?
So we don't really have specifics as far as the why. I don't know that we'll ever know why, but there's just indications in what he wrote. He wrote in a notebook that day about, it was all things about peers and whatever. Seventh grade. It's it's that time of kids' lives that their peers are so important, and we don't know that we don't think that we will ever know. That's why we wanted that iPad, to get more information, and hopefully we'll still get that iPad. But we don't have any specific examples. There's all these little things, but there's all sorts of things that happen to people every day, and they still don't take this action. What we've been told by therapists is that a majority of children think about, at some point, about suicide, but the majority of them do not act on it. And so why he did, we don't know. He was impulsive. He had ADHD. He had no other diagnosed mental health issues. We don't know.
And it's the thing that's frightening about this is exactly just how mysterious suicide can be, and this is what you're describing. We've tried to talk about this before too. You think that it's just sort of 1 + 1 = 2, or there's an obvious indicator, and what you're describing, sort of the mystery of the human mind and the human emotional system, how somebody receives something, or how somebody's thinking about something that occurred to them or they wish would occur to them, and it's that's the thing that's really scary. Is just how much of this is unknown, how much of this is inexplicable.
Exactly. One of the things that we now know, because we've gotten lots of counseling and searched about suicide and the suicidal mind. The thing with the youth today is that suicide is very normalized. Kids talk about, there was 13 Reasons Why. There was a program, Suicide Squad. There's, kids run those ladders in sports, and they're called suicides.
Oh, we don't do that anymore.
It's normalized.
Right.
No, they still do.
No, well, I coach
do.
girls basketball, and we ended that. Now we call them ladders. But still,
Yeah.
but it's in every rep. So I have a kid that, my sons, I remember hearing your story when it happened, because our kids went to Blaine at the time, and people were devastated. We have neighbors who've got kids at your school at St. Clement. And it's in all the rap songs, too, though, that everyone is singing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere.
It's so normalized.
So,
and a 12-year-old mind, did he understand the finality of it? Did he? We don't know. And initially, it didn't even occur to me. It did not even occur to me that a 12-year-old thought about suicide. And now I know, because now I know people who have had lost 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds, and it's a myth that if you talk to someone about suicide or try to teach your children about suicide, that you're giving them the idea. They already know about it. And if there's somebody that's really hurting, you can open the door for them to have that conversation with you. And it never occurred to me to have that conversation with him or my other children. I have 5 children, 4 surviving, and I have those conversations now.
How important is it to be proactive, do you think, in having a conversation about adversity in life? about, no matter there's only so much mom and dad can do to protect you, to clear the path for you in life. And there are going to be moments where you're not treated fairly, and there are going to be moments where you feel alone, and you're not alone. And you're going to have the tools to get through whatever life throws your way. Just sort of that conversation to give people a sense that they are resilient.
Well, that's a very good point, because resilience is something that really needs to be reinforced. But first, the person, they need to be heard. If they're hurting, that type of conversation is maybe not going to resonate as well as find out if you see something. Like, our son did have one crying spell that he was upset with himself about spilling something. And then we found out, well, at school he had a similar one and he was crying. So, but we didn't have put two and two together. In addition, if you think you spill something, you don't think you're going to, take your life. But it's really important to validate whatever your child is expressing to you, and trying to teach resilience at the same time. But they do need to be heard. They do need to understand that you are there to listen, and you're there to help them and support them, and you can model resilience and kindness and things like that. Parents and adults can, by their behavior.
She is
one of the things.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, one of the things that we are talking about as far as pro-kindness is that we feel like there's so many. Our son was a sensitive boy, and when you look around and you see how people treat each other, or how, as an example, how my husband's a referee, a youth referee, and his coach. How parents treat referees, and how parents treat coaches, and then how parents treat their kids who are out on the athletic field. We think maybe it can start there by just parents and adults modeling kinder behavior, because a lot of times bullies they learn it from other people that they see doing it, and the bullies are hurting themselves for something going on. So we also think that that's an element that we can all work on starting today.
She is Carol Deely. She is Gabriel's mom and the founder of Gabriels Light. Carol, where can people get more information about Gabriels Light? Do you have a website set up or anything?
Yes, we do. It's gabrielslight.org.
Gabrielslight.org is the organization. Carol Deely, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with your work. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. Daily, you hear guys on the radio going back and forth about how they're better than the other guy, and then you hear how their team can help